Welcome to the Two Blokes Chatting radio show on 94.7 The Pulse. Music, interviews, news, and, well, Two Blokes Chatting. Now, here are the two blokes.
The man who we are about to introduce has got more hats than Melbourne Hatters, and we are going to introduce him in a couple of contexts today. But before we do you do Wordle, Rob?
Nah, I'm not that smart.
This man that we're about to introduce to you, we could say AFL football legend. We could say fitness advisor and men's health advocate.
Yep.
But today we are also introducing him as one-off Got Wordle in one on Thursday. Andrew Bews, good morning to you.
Good morning, gentlemen. Wonderful to be a guest on board. Got it in one yesterday. Amazing. You should have seen the celebration too. I mean, I was sitting in a little cafe over at the paper mill, and I raised my two arms. I said, yes! Just jumped up and gone, what?
Andrew, do you realise that's just a fluke? It's got nothing to do with talent or being very clever.
I can't believe how many times I've started with this word, probably about 3 times.
And it happened to me once as well, and what you now have to do, of course, is that's never going to be the word again, so you have to choose a different word to start with.
I randomly change. I switch all the time.
So it was a complete fluke then?
No, not utterly. No. There was a lot of science put into it, a lot of algorithms. And
Rob's still getting past logarithms. Don't worry about algorithms.
Hey, just quickly on that music trivia.
Yes.
Now, today is the 20th year. It's been 20 years since a particular album was released. Australian band did play at the MCG on a Cats Grand Final.
Hunters and Collectors.
No.
The other one.
Yes, the other one. That's it. Yes.
Jet.
Jet. It was indeed.
Yeah, not that Jet.
Wrong Jet. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I saw them this week on the television talking about that.
Wow.
We have a Geelong connection within that band as well.
Do we?
Pray tell.
Raddy Wilson, bass guitarist, wore the Cats jumper in the on the stage in the grand final.
Magnificent.
Well, you're listening to Three Blokes Chatting about music. Well done you. So many things we could talk about. We'll probably reserve the last few minutes to talk to you about the AFL finals and getting your thoughts on how that might go. But importantly, you are playing a very important role in Rob's life and mine. I heard you talk to Rob on the wireless a few weeks ago, and it's got me off my backside. Talk to us about the importance of people of our generation continuing to maintain a level of fitness and strength.
A really good question, and people will probably often put themselves into I'm too old now. I'll just I'll ease off into the paddock and just graze around and not put too much effort in. Well, it depends on what sort of quality of life you would like to lead, and it depends on there are certain things that happen to people as they get more mature, and getting up and getting down off and up the ground is sometimes the biggest challenge that people have. And when people, in inverters, have a fall, in a very point of difference to falling over, because young people fall over and old people have a fall.
Yes.
And when people have a fall and can't get up, and this is a worst case scenario, they don't survive that.
Well, it was always, wasn't it, when our parents, and I'm collectively putting you in our age group, despite the fact yours starts with a 5 and ours starts with a 6, that's okay, that our parents' generation, if they fell over and broke their hip, yibbida, it's all over.
Yeah, and that's still happening today too, by the way, so don't feel like that's a thing of the past.
No, it happened to my mother, and she was actually able to have a hip transplant at the age of 85. So, but what I'm saying is it was a death sentence. Now, yeah, it's still happening, but it's not happening as prevalently, thankfully.
Correct, because there's great safety mechanisms available now too. So, we can press a button, we can we carry an amulet around our neck or around our wrist. So, yeah, we've got those systems in play. But if people don't have those systems, have misplaced it or aren't using it, it's the same result. So we do see those things happen occasionally. It's not a great thing, but I often talk to. I've got a couple of medics that I've been training over a number of years, And I'll go to those, and Joey Begona's one, and he's down at East Medical Centre, and Joey's more mature, still out there trying to trot out Kokoda tracks and all that sort of stuff. So, and the other one's Huey Seawood, and Hugh and I often, we'll banter about, people in their mature ages not being able to rescue themselves from getting up off the ground. And so if you've been out in that paddock too long, your muscles go into what's called atrophy, and they don't function the same way that they would have when you were younger, doing fit things. And there are methods and ways to keep people moving, and part of it is just to create a habit. That's the first thing you've got to generate. And if people are wanting to get started, I always go back to the basics. The first thing you do, you dress up like you're going to the gym, and you may not be going to the gym, or you dress up like you're going for a walk. So for a couple of weeks, that's where you start, Neil. And you've been able to walk straight back into the gym. Some people are not at that stage. They've, start at the beginning. So just dress up like you're going to the ball, and you'll eventually walk out that door, and you'll jump in that car, and you'll take yourself to wherever it is that you'll start your activity.
Bewsy, since I've been coming to see you, I've found something that's measurable in this situation about falls. I was struggling to get the feet lifted, so a little trip hazard would be something that, and I've had trips and I've had falls, but I'm now finding that there's just a little bit more spring in the step, in the legs, and I work in an environment where trip hazards, there's a few of them about, and I'm now starting to find that I can evade them, avoid them, whatever the case may be, because there is just a little bit of spring left or back into the legs, and it had gone before. So I think I've got something genuinely measurable with the time I've spent with you.
Yeah, you make a really good point, Rob, and that's so prevalent. When you look at the old and frail, and I'm not talking about people who are capable or mobile, they tend to waddle along. When you look at the next stage, come back one more stage from the frail, and they absolutely couldn't lift their foot to get onto a step. They're using walking frames, that sort of thing. But before that, they're starting to. You'll see their hips starting to rotate in, which is a sign that the glutes aren't working properly. So hence, I will talk about glutes in a minute. But pushing off the toes, getting those calves working as well. So it's really basic leg strength. Really getting the and being more purposeful, because let's face it, most people that are retired or are sort of in that more mature bracket, they're not going anywhere with any great purpose. They've finished their work life. They're just tottering around doing their bits and pieces, and they might be active, but they may not be, really going somewhere. And when you look at people who are younger, or even ladies out doing the pounding the pavement, doing their walks, most of them walk with a purpose, really pushing off those toes, and they're using their arms to drive themselves somewhere. So that could be a simple change in people's lives, that they might find, but I go and walk for 2 or 3 Ks a day. Yeah, walk with a bit more purpose, push off the toes, swing the arms with a bit more venom, and you'll find you get through there a bit quicker, 1. And 2, though, you start to elevate the heart rate a little bit more. You put a bit more onus on the particular muscle groups that are working, so we get a better result. And you haven't had to do anything more than do those couple of Ks that you do. I'm not saying you have to start all of a sudden running again, but it could be a step that you do take, because we're all capable as long as we do this in a step-by-step and a progressive sort of manner.
And a shameful plug here, the Long Run, which is the event that's being held by the Prostate Cancer Foundation of Australia. Rob and I are undertaking that. We need to do 72 Ks during September. So far, I've got up to a total of 0 because I didn't walk yesterday because I've been unwell. But 2 or 3 Ks, you think it's 20 minutes, half an hour, that sort of number. It's not like you're not going out for an hour and a half. You don't have to find an extra hour and a half in your day every day.
That's 100%, and it's a great cause and well put too. Doing 0 because you're feeling a little unwell, I'm going to pull the whip out on you next.
That's what I shouldn't have said.
Wrong man to say that to.
Yeah, I literally couldn't get off the couch yesterday, but that's okay. I'm here this morning, and that's what's important. I think the other thing too, Andrew, and this is a tribute to you and to Rob, I guess. I don't like pumping you blokes up too much because you do that enough yourself. But one of the things that's always been an issue for me going to the gym is you turn up and there's all these body beautiful people there. They're all muscle bound, body weight, bodybuilding types. And it can be a really daunting thing for a person, male or female, in their late 50s, early 60s, when I get to that age. That can be a real stumbling point for people, can it not?
Oh, absolutely. Look, what you've got to do is you've got to go and find your tribe. There's a lot of people, and I like all the brands that we have out there because they're pushing the same barrow I am, but their tribes are a little bit they're a bit different to my groups. My groups are more mature. I can have more young crews in my gym, but the bulk of my regulars are a little bit more mature. Anywhere from mid-30s to well, Joey Vigone is probably my oldest, and he's now 70, but a reasonably fit 70. I wouldn't call he carries a bit of girth, but that's his beautiful wife Kerry making too many lasagnas. It is what we put around our bellies is generally our lifestyle. So we can still be fit yet carry some body fat. That's not it's not the equation that describes a person's fitness level. I've seen shot putters, they can sprint 100 metres in 10.6 seconds. They're amazing athletes, but they carry a fair bit of girth because it serves them in their sport. And they're big eaters.
Bewsy, I want to digress a little. You've just reminded me of something. I meant to bring it up. Pole vault. You were very good at it. Your son was very good at it. And we haven't really had too much, but we've got now a women's world champion and a fellow Australian finished third in the world champs. That is a really dangerous but very exciting sport. Have you sort of had your eye on that? And you got a bit of a spring in your step on the back of that?
Oh, I do have a spring in my step. I thought that the Noonan's effort in the female pole vault was outstanding. Now, I've heard that there's been a bit of a backlash on some social media platforms. The idiot factor at work again. Now, what they don't exhausting the event is. Now, these athletes, they prime themselves for these events. There's only a certain amount of jumps that you have in you. Now, once you've reached the highest height you can, you've got to understand that they've been out there for probably 4 hours. It's you're taxed to within an inch of your life as far as energy is concerned. Now, you can popping gels and all the rest. Your body's still got to be able to process that, and sometimes you just got to watch how much of that stuff you put into your system because it then can also cause a sugar overload and you start going flat. So people who don't understand sport and athletics and how it operates, if they were to whinge and complain that she should have gone and had another jump and competed and tried to win the event, if she'd have gone and tried to win the event without the other one participating, and she knocks it off once, she knocks it off again, she knocks it off a third time, well, she will actually lose the event because on countback, that's more against your name than it is, and they don't take into account the fact that you both finished on the same height. You've knocked it off more times than they did, so on a countback system, she would have lost. So you risk losing it if you want to have a jump off on your own and don't agree to it. You're better off agreeing to it because at the end of the day, I want to go home with gold. Australia wants the gold. And the idiot factor, shut up, stay in your wheelhouse, stay in your lane, and don't go overthinking the sport because they did all the right things. She's done everything correct. And we're all wrapped. All the people who understand athletics and sport, we love the fact we've got another gold medalist. So, yeah, I've been watching that like an eagle, and it's been an amazing event, and she did so well. I think she's gone and PB'd again.
She did a couple of days later, which is sort of adds to it, and it shows that she's really dedicated to the sport. And I just love the way the two athletes at the end had this incredible respect and admiration for each other's work and shared it with joyous harmony. It was just wonderful to watch.
It was. And look, I can from a personal point of view, I've done a jump off for an Australian title, and we went for it, the both of us. We both missed 3 jumps in a row where they kept bringing the bar down by 5 centimetres each time, and we were cooked. We just stood and looked at each other. Nah, that'll do.
Yeah. You just really couldn't get over it, could you?
No, we couldn't get it over quick enough. The bar. every time they bring it, we jump it.
So, Andrew, bringing it back to the message that because we'll talk about footy in a minute, the message for people who are listening who are, let's call them mature, 50s, 60s, that sort of person, they're feeling a bit couch potato-ish. They go out to the local sports store and buy themselves a pair of runners and a pair of shorts and a T-shirt. What do they do next?
Well, like I said earlier, you've got to go and find your tribe. So where's the best place for you, the best fit? Now, it could even be like, I'm huge on this. Walking is fine. Walking's a great place to start, but it's not the answer to everything. Most people will have, particularly at more mature ages, going to have some gripes and complaints. Well, and most of it's going to stem from not stretching a great deal. So I love yoga, Pilates, those sort of things, and there's lots of mature age venues that cater to that age group. Go and participate in that first, then build yourself up, and then find a little gym that might provide the activity that you're looking for. You know, if you want to go after a little bit of push and shove with resistance, well, you know, someone like me, somewhere like our place is the right place. Big place will have a group or it's fine slot, but it just mightn't suit most. So you just got to hunt around and do a bit of homework, talk to some people, get involved somewhere, find out whether that's the best place for you, and if it's not, just hunt around. You'll find the best place. Place that caters to your tribe.
And keep your ears peeled when you're sitting down having a coffee with your mate, and they say, "Oh, I went to the gym this morning." Ask them where they went. I guess that's how I got to yours, because I was listening to Rob talking to you about your. We should just before we go on to footy, we're not allowed to name your business, so just off air quickly, just tell us what it's called.
We're down in Finesford, and we're called InSync Fit.
Oh, hang on a minute. Sorry, I didn't turn off your microphone.
That is good. And a comment that Neil made before about feeling uncomfortable while trying to find your tribe. One of the things that I do enjoy about your group is that it's fun, and you have so much fun that you don't actually realise you're in pain. And I think that's a good part of it.
Until you get home and having breakfast, that's when you start
that is a
feeling
good
it.
part of it. So you will genuinely enjoy the 45 to 50 minute session of conversation, exercise, and darn good fun, and it definitely starts the day off good. So, Bewsy, yeah, we love what you're doing for us and others, and hope more can get involved and get on the bandwagon. It's good fun.
It is good fun, and you never know what you might learn too.
Well, that's exactly right. There's always some pearls of wisdom getting thrown around during the morning.
Yeah, and everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Yeah, that's right.
Absolutely they are.
You come
and
along
great music too, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, indeed. Hereafter known as Two Blokes Exercising.
Yes.
Now, Andrew, as we know, you represented a couple of VFL/AFL clubs with aplomb, and one of them is no longer in the finals. There are 8 teams left. Talk us through your thoughts on who plays in the grand final and who wins it.
Wow, this is such a tricky one. You know, I was looking at the procession. You know, they always put the schedule in and how it will work. I always forget that the 8 is the 8 and how they swing through the system right to the grand final. So I was having a look, casting my eyes over it yesterday, and I come up with the same equation nearly all the time, and I reckon that what I'd really like to see would be probably a Brisbane-Collingwood grand final. Now that may not occur. It just because it sometimes with the crossover you lose a team from one side of the draw that should actually make it in there, and you know so it's a tricky system. It's not the best system. It's the best system we have, but probably the question is it the best system? But I don't really know, and I don't know the answer to that. So I'd like to see Brizzy get there. I think they're playing pretty good footy. I think Collingwood at full steam ahead are probably the best option, but as the records will show, I think Brizzy's knocked them off the last 4 times they played. So
6.
They don't hold any fear for the Magpies, and Brisbane have got 2 home games. You look at the rest of the bunch; they're not quite firing on all cylinders. Melbourne are probably going okay, and GWS is coming off a ordinary start to the year. Can they keep their momentum going? So there's a question mark against every side through there. St Kilda, I don't know how they're still there. Swannies, they're in pretty good nick. And I just, I wonder about the Blues.
The Blues a bit. I've got my hat in the Port Adelaide ring, and it's really only emotional, and I know how much respect and admiration you had for your old teammate Kenny Hinkley. I'm sort of thinking he deserves one, But then again, there's others that do too. So I'm leaning, and I certainly think at full strength, Port Adelaide are good enough, but they probably need to upset Brisbane the first week to get that little bit of advantage. It could be tough for them if they lose that first one and have to come through the hard. I don't know whether they're that good a team, but geez, I'd love Kenny Hinkley to hold a premiership cup.
Yeah, and I really love that. That's probably the best final next weekend. So I'm looking forward to that game immensely. It's the last one on the roster, so I think, I might be wrong, I think it's is it the late
Saturday night.
Yes. So we'll see that game in the last part of the evening, and I think that I'm really hoping that the Lions can get through. But gee whiz, Kenny's boys, they've done some great work, and they just continue to amaze themselves, I suppose, and us in the football world. Every other game there, everybody got a chance if they're playing their best footy.
Yeah.
And, so I think it's probably the most evenly paced finals that we're going to see. How it unfolds and unlocks is going to be amazing. We'll enjoy it with probably less pressure on them with the last few years.
You might.
I mean, but having said that, I'm excited for the Lions because they've been thereabouts. Their former Brownlow medalist is playing with the best football I've seen for a long while. He extracts the ball from the middle. He's playing outstanding footy and lifting people above his shoulders and taking them with him.
Yeah, couldn't get a game in the All-Australian side, but we won't talk too much about that. That would be a long run. How can they have an All-Australian selection committee that has every state represented except Queensland? It just defies logic. Another ex-teammate of yours before we let you go, Craig McRae, just a ripping bloke, and I've met him a few times through his VFL involvement, just a ripping bloke. He got up the other night at the Hall of Fame event. Brisbane had their Hall of Fame event on the same night as the All-Australian Awards. That tells you how much expectation they had. And Jonathan Brown, Simon Black became legends of the club, but Craig McRae was inducted as a Hall of Famer, and he got up on stage and his closing line was, "If we don't win it, by God, I hope you blokes do." Which I just thought, just what a ripping thing to say at an event like that. He couldn't get up and say he hopes you win, but just a ripping fella.
Yeah, listening to the play on words there, we and us, he separated himself from the Lions.
Yep.
Beautifully, carved a little wedge through. Fly, congratulations to him also becoming a Hall of Famer, but great teammate, really loved the little fella. Vossi, he's coaching those two boys that coaching at senior level right now, Nigel Lappin, Chris Scott, that Lions group that came through last part of my career. I couldn't be more rapt for them. They've had such an impact. They're shining lights in amongst a place that can be pretty dark sometimes, and they do it well. They do their coaching well. They do it their way. They're not trying to be Lee Matthews. I pat them all on the back, and I love watching their careers. They're just John Jay citizens for me, and I wish the Fly the best, but not
that much the best. Andrew Bews, it's always a thrill to chat to you, even if I'm on my hands and knees trying to catch my breath. We will see you Monday morning, but thanks for being part of the Two Blokes Chatting radio show this morning.
Been so much fun, boys. Enjoy. Have a great weekend.
Are you heading out to St Albans tomorrow to get the Magpies over the line, Bewsy?
I'll go and watch the twos, mate.
Good lad. Good club man. See you tomorrow.
Love your work. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, boys.
Andrew Bews, In Sync Fit with Andrew Bews is his business, and doing some really good things with Rob. I've forgotten how incredibly strong, handsome, and buff you are, and you could probably put your jumper back on now.
You're still talking to Bewsy?
Yeah, that's right.
Just a free gratuitous plug, and apologies to Leo and station management, but the story there, ladies and gentlemen, is not so much where you go. I think Bewsy was very clever to say that, find the right place to do it. The important thing is just do it. Just do something to keep your body active, because it catches up very quickly if you stop looking after yourself, and those little things like trips. And I've lived through it where I've had some very embarrassing situations where the feet don't lift quite as high as they used to, and there's something you don't quite see, and bang, you're on your face. So please look after yourself and get yourself fit, and it's not hard to do, and it can be very enjoyable.